All right, guys, we're going to get started. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit so that it doesn't run so much. Okay, so you guys are going to be in a class together. There's going to be one other dog in your class, and she did puppy classes, so she doesn't have to do the orientation because she's already done the orientation class. So there's going to be a total of 4 of you. I know it's hard to picture this, but you guys see all this equipment I have up there? You guys are going to have dividers between each human and dog. So your dogs are going to know that each other are there, but they're not going to see each other. And if you look underneath the air conditioner, there's a purple hook. There's going to be a purple hook in every station, and then that's where you guys are going to hook your dog's leash. That way you don't have to hold on to the leash the whole entire time. If you look above, the hooks above, that's where you can hang your purse, jacket, bag, you know, whatever belongings that you guys might have. I do want to tell you guys that the very first class is the hardest. It's the hardest for your dog. It's the hardest for you guys. You guys are still trying to figure everything out, and they're still trying to comprehend, where am I at? You know, am I at the vet? But the further you get into it, the better it will get, the more relaxed hopefully they will get. And also too, what's really important is that you guys have to make sure you do your homework at home, because you will not be successful if all you do is come here once a week and that's it. So you have to do training sessions at home. It's very important, vital part to all of this. So every week I will try to teach you guys a new behavior for your dogs. If you don't do your homework, I'll be able to tell. Your dog's going to tell on you. So I'll be able to tell. But every week your dog will learn a new behavior. You guys are in the adult class, so you're in the canine manners class, so you guys are going to get the whole full line of obedience, whereas in the puppy classes they don't get the whole full line, they get half of it. So as far as parking, when you guys are here, you guys can park wherever you want. You could park in front of the barn. There's a little parking pad next to the garage you could park at. You could even park in front of the garage. It doesn't matter. You can park wherever you want. The only thing that I ask is that nobody blocks the exit of this asphalt drive. That way everybody has a way out. But I don't think it's really going to be a problem because there's only 4 of you guys. Things have downsized quite a bit. If for any reason you guys think that your dog needs a potty break during class, let me know, please, before you just head out, because I need to know. It depends on what's going on in that exact moment where I decide, okay, I want you to go out that door, or I want you to go out that door. If you go out this door, we've got some poop bags up here if you need them, and there's a garbage can straight ahead. And if you go out the back door, you go around the corner and you'll see a coffee can that has poop bags in that. And there's a garbage can underneath the deck. And then we have a bathroom for humans, and that's around the corner, brown door. Also, you guys are going to need plenty of training treats. Are you guys familiar with training treats? So if you have a larger breed dog, this is something that I would recommend. These are bacon flavored, and I actually have not had too many dogs turn these down. These are just a little bit bigger than the regular Zooks. So these are Zooks, and these are smaller, and these are just a little bit bigger. I find with large breed dogs that the smaller treats, they're so excited that they choke on them a lot. They don't chew them, they just inhale them. Whereas these are just a little bit bigger, that they don't choke on as badly or as much. Another, do you guys want to look at these or anything? You guys can look at them. I'm going to tell you guys another really good treat that I have never had a dog turn down are these. So these are chicken jerky, and they're really soft and made in the USA, which is very important. But I just, they're like fillets, and I just take scissors and I cut them up into little pieces, and I call them chicken steak because I haven't had too many dogs ever turn these down. Do you want to look at these? Yeah. There was a recall on those at Costco. Yeah, so you want to make sure you get that brand. The ones at Costco are not made in the USA. That's why there's a recall. So you guys have to remember that when you're here, you're not at home. That being said, that means you have to have very good treats. Treats that you're not using at home all the time. You want something that's high value. And then sometimes, like I was telling you guys earlier, you might need to bring hot dogs with you, cut up into little pieces, or chicken, or something of that nature. It's all about figuring out what works, what they respond to, and I'm not going to lie, you guys are going to go through a lot of treats. I must say a lot, 3 times. A lot, a lot, a lot.
Like my 10 bags of them?
No. So one of these bags that he has, like this one you get the most for your money. This has 500 treats. So you would probably go through almost a half of this in a class.
Oh, in one class?
Yes.
Where do you get them from?
So, are you guys familiar with Chewy.com? Chewy? Do you guys use Chewy? They're pretty great, actually. Or Amazon, do you ever? Okay. So these, I don't ever see in the pet stores here, Pet Botanics. But I don't go to Petco, so I don't know if Petco might have them. But these, I get all my stuff online. But these I get, I think, from Chewy or Amazon. These are from Chewy or from Amazon. You guys are going to go through a lot of treats, though, and you just have to remember that when you're here, you're not at home. You're competing. And when you're competing, that means you have to have good treats, high value. Now, when you're at home, you might get away with lower value treats. Just depends, Any questions about those guys? No? Okay. Treat pouch. You guys will need a treat pouch. If you guys don't want to buy 2, or you guys don't want to buy 2, you can just borrow one when you're here. Save yourself some money if you want to. This is really nice. I like this brand, and this is Pet Safe, because you've got plenty of room to get your hand in and out of there. Your timing is very important when you're working with your dog. You can't ask your dog to do a behavior, have this little tiny pouch that you can't get your hand in and out of, because they need to know what they're being reinforced for right away. So this one I like too, is because when they cheat, you're like, nope, store's closed. And these also come with a belt. I take the belts off, that way if anybody wants to borrow it, they could just use the clip, because it has a clip also that you can clip it on your waist. So you guys will need a treat pouch, at least one. So as far as equipment, you guys do know that I'm a positive reinforcement trainer, and I do not want to see a prong collar, and I don't want to see a choke collar. Does anybody's dog pull really bad? Yes, yes, and yes. Yes? Was that a yes?
He's a puppy, I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to, so it just depends.
But he's big, though. He's going to get big, right?
He's about 39 pounds right now.
Okay.
I don't know how big he's going to get. Where I got him from, they said he's probably going to get to be like 45 pounds. I don't know if that's...
So he's a lab mix?
He's a lab mix.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
You don't know what he's mixed with.
So for dogs that pull really bad, I recommend, and you guys might want to write this down too, is an Easy Walk harness, and it will make your life wonderful.
We have one. It doesn't really work.
Is it tight?
I have it somewhat.
No.
I'll bring it to you.
I want her to wear it. So it goes on over the head, and the different color goes under the belly. The leash goes on the chest. Is that,
Ours has a hook on the chest too.
is that how she wears it?
Not all the time. When I want her to be good, I hook it on her chest and she
But
like.
that doesn't always help.
You're describing a different harness to me.
It's,
Well, it's not like that,
It's not
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
That is not for good big dogs.
That
This is
not-
for puppies.
Yeah, it's like that.
This
with
is
big-
for little puppies.
Okay.
This is for adult dogs, yes. So this is an easy walk harness, and every single strap will adjust to what you need. And they make a deluxe. I like the deluxe much better because it's nice and thick and padded. But so this goes over the head like this, and the different color is always what's going to go under their belly. And it's always going to clip and unclip right in the armpit. But you want it to be a little bit snug, and you want to try to get them a little bit used to it. And, you know, don't think that you could just slap that on them for the very first time and bring them to class. You know, you want them to be used to it a little bit.
With the leash, we have one, but I think it connects on the back.
Yeah, so whenever a leash connects to the back, it makes it easier for them to pull you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a sled dog. So those, I only recommend those for little puppies because they play with each other in puppy class. I don't recommend those for adult dogs at all. It just makes them like a sled dog.
So when you're hooking that thing, do you put it, like, it seems to get underneath her front leg all the time.
You were discussing a different harness. You don't,
But it clips in the front
It
though.
does have a
oh,
clip too,
oh, it does.
but it looks more like that.
Yeah, but it probably moves all over the
Yes.
place. That's why
Yeah.
that doesn't. Yep, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my. Yeah.
It's a glorified leash there, huh?
Yeah, so you guys, what is really, really important, do not feed your dogs before you come to class, especially yours.
I mean, like at all. We only feed her once in the morning at 6.
That's fine.
So don't feed her at 6
3
that morning?
cups.
No, I said that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Don't feed her at night before you come to class. Right. So she should be hungry by night if you're feeding her at 6 a.m. Yeah, that's what we want. What I'm saying is don't feed her right before you get here. Right, because you want them to be really hungry and you want them to be eager to work for treats. That's important. So make sure they're really, really hungry. And if you guys have some time, it would really benefit quite a bit if you have time to get them a little bit of exercise before they come to class. It'll help take that energy level down. So whether it's fetch, a walk, you know, whatever. Try to bring the energy down a little bit. If for any reason any of you cannot make it to class, you could always shoot me a text and say, hey Cindy, this is so-and-so and I'm not going to be able to make it. And that's fine. It just helps me plan for you guys. And then it sticks in my head. I'm like, oh, I got to catch him up next week. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Okay.
So Wednesdays are next.
Yes, you guys are going to start this Wednesday. Thank you. Yes, 5:30. So you guys are going to come every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 for 5 weeks. So you guys are starting this Wednesday at 5:30.
Try to get all this stuff before me out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to start going over the orientation sheet that you guys have in front of you. And you see in the left-hand part there where it says life rewards goals. So life rewards is, I'm going to explain to you guys, life rewards means that it doesn't always have to be a treat. So it's a really good idea to always ask your dog to sit before you give them anything that they want. What I feel is really important is to ask them to sit before I open the door to let you outside. Because that way I'm teaching you not to just dart out that door. You guys are past all the potty training problems, right? Past that? Past that. Well, that's good, yeah. So I'm going to put your food bowl down. I'm going to ask you to sit before I put your food bowl down. Your life reward is you get to eat your food. So I'm getting ready to open the door to let you outside to play. I'm going to ask you to sit before I open the door to let you outside to play. And going outside playing is your life reward. I come home with a new toy for you. I'm going to ask you to sit before I hand it to you. You know, the one I like too is fetch. If I'm playing fetch with my dog, I ask my dog to sit before I throw it. And then their life reward is fetching the ball. Does that make sense to you guys, where it doesn't have to be a treat? You know, if you get in the habit of always asking for that sit before you give them anything that they want, then they'll be more, it'll get to the point where you won't even have to ask, they'll just do it. It's also a good idea to ask them to sit before you put their leash on them too. Their life reward is they get to go for a walk. Any questions about that? Because that's really good, because in about 3 weeks I'm going to ask you guys if you remember what life rewards are, and you should see the look on everybody's face. It's pretty funny. All right, so underneath of that it says when you take something away you should give something in return. It's always a good idea to trade up in value when you try to take something away from your dog. Then they're more likely, you know, want to give it to you. Does anybody have the dog that I call snatch, grab, and run? I'm going to grab something that I know I'm not supposed to have and take off running, like socks or anything like that.
Socks, but she does not like to give it up. So whatever it is.
Right.
Stick or whatever.
Yeah, sticks, that's a tough competition there. Yeah.
Definitely when she's outside, it's like that. When she's inside, she kind of just
She
stays
brings it
close
to
by.
us. She goes, if she
Or goes
gets
to
it
the
down,
door
she'll
and
bring
just
it.
drops it, So I guess it's, but outside for sure, it's hard.
Yeah, like sticks and leaves and stuff like that.
Yeah, she'll go a mile for a stick. That would be her biggest reward.
Treat, yeah.
Way more than a stick. She'll pull them right off the tree, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's crazy about sticks.
So, you know, a lot of times people have the problem where their dog will put something in their mouth in the house that they're not supposed to have too. And, you know, like a sock or, you know, something that they're just not supposed to have. And then they'll take off running with it. So if you chase them, even with the stick, if you chase them, you're reinforcing the game. And I'm going to keep doing it because it's really working here. It gets a rise out of you and I like it. So it's really hard. You know, you have to try to act like it's not a big deal, even though it is. You have to try to act like it's not. And the best thing you can do is to not chase. And if it's in the house, I would just grab me a little cookie and I would teach them drop. So whatever it is you have in your mouth, when I hold that cookie there, you're going to drop that. And I'm going to say the word drop. And I'm trading you and I'm giving you a treat. But to chase would be to reinforce it. Any questions? No?
I feel like, I mean, I have to understand that. I feel like once you reinforce, I mean, it feels like you're rewarding them for
No, I'm teaching you how to drop. I'm teaching you the word drop.
as long as they drop it.
Yeah. Because most of the time when you put that cookie there, they're going to spit out what's in their mouth. I'm going to put the word drop with that. And then I'm going to give you a cookie. But what reinforces it is the chase. That's what reinforces it.
But what if they don't want to come to you or be anywhere near you if you
I'm going to get up real slow and I'm going to grab a cookie and I'm going to not make eye contact and I'm going to walk towards you and I'm going to trade you. So when a dog jumps on you, what's the first thing you guys usually say? How about you guys?
down?
Down? Yeah, I understand. That's like the first thing that comes to our mind. You know, we're human and that's the first thing that we think of, but really that's quite confusing to a dog because down really means lie down. But sit. If you know sit, why not sit? You know? And off, I feel like off is really more for off of my countertops, off of my end tables, off of my furniture and things like that. If I have somebody that comes to my house, a visitor, and I go into another room, and my dog is jumping on my friend while I'm not in the room, do you think my friend's going to think to say off? Probably not. Maybe sit. They'll probably say down, actually. Does anybody have a dog that jumps up on the countertops or anything like that?
Has a couple times, but
Not real bad.
she's not real bad.
Yeah, that's what you use off for, is off of my countertops and things like that. But, you know, if you don't want them jumping on your countertops and that, then you don't want to keep things there that are tempting either.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually we're not looking, you can hear them.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just peeking up there.
Uh-huh. You know, a lot of times I use, my biggest go-to for redirecting my dogs is my come when called. I can't tell you guys how much I have reinforced that behavior. I have reinforced it a lot. And it shows. because that's how I redirect them. So if I'm in another room and I see that you're getting ready to jump on my counter, I'm going to redirect you and ask you to come. Get you away from that. Take your mind off of that. You know, with dog training, it's really all about redirecting your dog right away, right away, right away. You cannot wait until they're overstimulated or they're too involved, because you're not going to reach that. But if you stay consistent with trying to redirect with a trained behavior right away, right away, right away, they'll start redirecting themselves after a while. And then later on down the road, you're finally going to be like, oh, that training, it finally paid off. Because it will. It will. So I have a saying, don't correct, redirect, and ask for a trained behavior, which is really basically what I was just talking about. You know, I like to try to teach you guys how to use the trained behaviors to redirect your dogs away from the bad behaviors. You know, I'm not opposed to the word no, but no doesn't teach me anything. And so using no occasionally is fine, but to rely on no for everything, like I said, is not going to teach your dog what you want instead. Are you guys familiar with interactive toys? You guys know what interactive toys are? Enrichment. Do you guys know what enrichment is? Yeah. Yeah. So interactive toys are any kind of a toy that they have to work for food. But, you know, I have a saying, a tired dog is a well-behaved dog, and it's very true. And even any kind of enrichment, and when I mean like enrichment, training is enrichment. Training will make them very tired. It's a mental tired, and it's actually better than a physical tired, you know. But when all of those needs are not being met, that's when you've got a dog that's getting into trouble. So training is a good way. Enrichment is any kind of food puzzle, Kong, you know, something that they have to work for food, that keeps that mind busy. They get bored just like us. So that's another reason why training makes them tired, because they have to use that brain. And you guys will notice that when you leave here after class, your dogs are going to be tired. It's a good tired. So interactive toys, just like you were saying, a Kong is a good one. Does anybody use these? No? No, yes?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Do you? Okay. So this is why I'm saying, you know, interactive toys are enrichment, and enrichment is important. So a Kong, you could use a Kong. So you could put some treats in the Kong, and then you could put some peanut butter on the top of this, and you could freeze it, and it'll last them longer if it's frozen. You have a dog that's not happy when you leave, why don't you give her something else to think about instead of you leaving? And don't jiggle your keys.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a regular Kong. And Kong also makes what they call a Kong wobbler. So you can put their meal in here, and then you put the lid back on it, and they toss this around, and they have to figure out how to get their food out of here and how to eat their meal. So they basically have to work for their meal, which is good for them. And then these come in different sizes also. This is a large. Now this is something you guys would have to be careful about. You know why, right?
What's that called? What Kong?
This is called a Kong wobbler. Wobbler. You know, a lot of this stuff is at Chewy or Amazon or any of the pet stores too. And did you guys know that these pet stores will price match Chewy? And Chewy is a lot cheaper. So like this harness, you know, I know Pet Supplies Plus will. I don't go to some of these other stores, but if you have a smartphone and you pull that harness up on Chewy's website, they'll price match it, and it'll probably save you $5 or $6. Yes, the secret's out. Yeah, and the same thing with the treat pouch. Do you go to Pet Supplies in Portage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that treat pouch, it's not with the other treat pouches. They have it around the corner by the leashes and the harnesses. Yeah, and then that harness there is pretty expensive. It's cheaper through Chewy.
Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody have a dog that likes to chew? So this is called a busybody bone, and this is medium. Now they make a busybody wobbler, which I really like a lot. It has I like it better actually. It has a ball in the center of it, and it's a lot more durable. But this comes with, they're like a piece of paper. They're really thin, rawhide disc. And you can unscrew this and put your rawhide disc on there. Put the rawhide disc on there, and then you put this all back together again. And then they have to figure out how to get that out of there. Gives them a job. It's enrichment. Got to use the brain. It's good for them. This would be another example. This is a busybody saucer. So you can unscrew this and you can put treats in here. Now if it's the first time I give it to them, I'm going to line these little things up and make it easy for them the very first time, because I don't want you to get frustrated. But after that, then I'm going to screw that on there really tight, and then they have to figure out how to get their treats out of this. Makes them use that brain, makes them think. My dogs are professionals at this one. I mean, he just like tosses it up in the air. Yeah. And then just like this wobbler, this thing, my oldest dog is 11, and to this day she loves this thing. She's got food in her bowl, and she'll go get this and put it in my lap. She's bored. She wants something to do, you know? Any questions so far, you guys? Okay. So if you guys look at the top left there where it says name, sit, down, and touch, and then underneath of that it says toss treat away for reset. We're going to talk about that for a minute. So what I would like to tell you guys too is that I teach visuals and verbals. So we're going to teach them both. I find that they really read our body language very well, and they pay attention to our body language more than they do our words most of the time. And I also find that us humans don't really have a lot of patience, and I will hear somebody say the word sit like 6 times in 3 seconds. And when you're like that, when you're training with your dog's going to tune you out and not listen to you or pay attention to you. So I find that the visuals help us just as much as it helps our dogs. So for a sit, you could think of your arm going into a sit position. You could use that for your sit if you want to. Or you could use this for a sit. Just make sure your whole family's on the same page. And then for your down, you could just use your whole arm down. Okay? So, name. I'm going to talk about name. Name is a very important part of your training. And it doesn't matter that your dog knows its name. What matters is I'm reinforcing you for responding to your name when I say your name. So we're going to demonstrate this tonight with my dog a little bit, and you guys are more than welcome to practice with him too if you want to. He would actually rather work with you guys than me. But anyways, so what we're going to do is, we're going to toss a treat. We want our dog to see us just a real light toss. So we toss that treat. They go after that treat. The second that treat goes in their mouth, I'm going to say your dog's name. Your dog's going to turn its head and look at you. The second you get that head turn, it looks at you, you're going to click that clicker. And I'll explain that in a minute. And they're going to come to you and they're going to get the treat. So I'm reinforcing you for responding to the name. So that will also help set you guys up for when we teach them come when called, because I'm already reinforcing you for responding to your name. So that will help tremendously. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. I can't hear you.
No, that's interesting, because we always say, she doesn't even know her name. But
And
she
it's
does.
possible.
It
It's
depends on how you say
possible.
it,
The tone of voice, or
Sorry. And then he's like, she doesn't know, it's just the way it's.
was that the name she had when you guys got her? I like it. I like it.
Well, she had it, yeah, she already had it, she's
So it's not like it's been changed. And how old is she?
a year.
A year?
So,
Okay. So is it selective hearing?
kind of like her dad, probably.
Right. Right. So we're gonna work on that, and we're gonna demonstrate that tonight. And then I want to explain touch. You guys see where it says name, sit, down, and touch. So touch is targeting. So we teach dogs, and we teach this in puppy class too. We teach them to target the palm of our hand with their nose. Now, when we first teach them something new, we're going to break it down to the simplest form, and then we're just gradually going to make that harder for you. But when we first teach them touch, your hand's going to be this close to their face. But after they get fluent with that, you're going to be 15 feet away, put your hand down and say the word touch, and they are going to come and target your hand. It is nice. So it is similar to your come when called, and you know, most dogs actually respond better to the touch than they do the come. And touch comes in handy for so many things, man. It comes in handy for leash walking. It comes in handy for taking your dog's mind off of what I don't want you to do, because they like it. They like to do this. It's fun. So as far as leash walking, it comes in handy for leash walking, because the more that I'm reinforcing you for targeting my hand, then they follow your hand. You'll see that they will follow your hand. It helps you position them to where you need them, especially with leash walking. Touch comes in handy also for, I'll give you an example. I want to sit in my recliner and my dog is in my recliner. So I'll just go, I'll get up and I'll get in front of the recliner just far enough away, and I'll ask for a touch, and he has to get up and touch my hand, and then I get my chair back. So it comes in handy. Any questions about that, you guys?
Are they getting a treat every time they do that?
When you're training, doing training sessions.
So it's not all
Training
the time.
sessions, right. We're going to talk about that. So I do want to ask, is anybody working on paw with their dog? Paw, like give paw, shake. I'm going to ask you guys to not do that while you're doing classes. You can go back to it after classes if you want to, but the reason that I say that is because dogs only know to target with a paw or a nose. So when you're working on touch, you're going to be working for touch, you're going to get this instead, because they're going to get confused. So you guys can always go back to that. We'll just get this first. So training sessions and homework, you know, you're going to use your clicker and you're going to use your treats when you're doing training sessions. Absolutely. Is anybody familiar with clicker training? No? No? Okay. So I'm going to be giving you guys a clicker, and we're going to practice clicker training and how to use a clicker. A clicker has a very distinct sound, and that sound is always paired with a treat. That sound is always paired with a treat. It makes learning very easy for them because that sound is so precise. It is a reward marker. So if I ask my dog to sit and my dog sits, click, I am taking a picture of that sit and I'm pairing that with a treat. If I ask my dog to sit and my dog does not sit, there's no click, there's no treat. That's your no. It creates thinking. It's very important that they are allowed to think and problem solve. And you guys will see the steam coming out too. You will. So, have you guys ever watched a dolphin trainer? Anybody? Yeah? So the dolphin trainer will ask the dolphin to do a behavior, right? And the dolphin does the behavior. She blows a whistle and she pairs that whistle with the fish. So it's the same concept with your clicker. So even if you're doing a training session, because it happens to me still, they still get me sometimes. So let's just say you're doing a training session and you click by accident. And your dog's looking at me like, I know what that means. You better pay up, right? My dog didn't mess up, I did. And I want this clicker to mean something, so I have to give the treat. Does that make sense to you guys? What I like about the clicker is that you don't have to say the word no. Because when there's no click, there's no treat. That is your no. If any of you have small children that come to the house or that you live with, you have to make sure that you hide your clicker. It is not a toy. You want that to mean something to your dog. Any questions? So you guys are only going to use the clicker for your training sessions, because a lot of the same questions I get all the time is, does this mean that I have to carry a clicker around with me all the time? You do not have to carry a clicker around with you. You're only using the clicker to teach the behaviors. You're only using the clicker for your training sessions. And then you're going to see in daily life that they know the behaviors. It's just a really good tool because it's so precise at telling them at that exact moment that I did what you asked me to do. Any questions, guys? You guys are quiet.
Do we buy a clicker?
I'm going to give you one. Yeah, I'm going to give you one. So another thing I want to talk about too is that, real quick before we practice, is something that is really important too, is that if you're working with your dog and you're doing a training session and you ask your dog to sit and you click and you go to deliver that treat, it is important that your dog is in the position that you asked for when your dog receives the treat. So if I ask my dog to sit, it's important that his butt's on the floor sitting when he receives the treat so that he knows what he's being reinforced for. So the same thing with a down. If I ask my dog to lie down, it's important that my dog is lying down when he receives the treats. Does that make sense to you guys? And as far as a treat pouch, the whole reason for a treat pouch is that I'm a firm believer that I don't believe in luring dogs. I see trainers, I see all kinds of people all the time. They're working with their dog and they're holding a handful of treats. And they're asking their dog to do things while they're holding these treats. Do you guys know what that's called? It's called luring. That is called luring. So what happens if you're always doing this, your dog is going to be like, well, I don't see those treats in your hand. I'm not doing it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So that's why you guys have a pouch, because you're going to pull one treat out at a time. Now you might have to use what I call luring for some things in the very beginning. An example would be trying to teach your dog to lie down. And what I mean is holding that treat really close to your mouth and trying to get you to lie down. But I have to fade that as soon as possible. I have to fade that because what's going to happen is I'm not doing it. I don't see that treat in your hand. And we don't want that, So that would also make things more difficult for you guys, because I've had you ask, I think you asked, what if I don't have a treat? Well, if you're always holding them in front of them, then you won't be okay. But if you're pulling them out one at a time, when you ask for a behavior, that helps tremendously. Any questions?
Suggest like your training and stuff like that, then when you go on for walks, you obviously want to be prepared for anything that's going to happen. You want to try to teach them stuff like that. You should be carrying treats with you as you walk and everywhere else you go.
No. No, you're going to use treats for your training sessions only. But I will say with leash walking, that's something that's really important to me with my dogs. So for quite some time, I took treats with me to get good leash manners. And, now I don't have to have the treats. I use sniffing as a reinforcer. So, when he's walking really good and I'm like, you know what, he deserves it, I'll say, go sniff. And he knows what that means. That means he can go sniff. And that's a reward for him. Sniffing's very good for them too. Makes them tired. More than the walk does. Mm-hmm.
So they should be sniffing the whole time?
It's very good for them.
I guess what ours
Her nose is to the ground and she sniffs everything.
That goes back to enrichment. When I was talking about enrichment, their senses are so much stronger than ours. They smell things 1,000 times better than we do, and that they take all that in and they process it, and it makes them tired.
So you're saying it's good to like walk on the sidewalk and not have them sniff until you feel like
Well, I will say that I know, even with my own dogs, that when I first take them for a walk, I am not going to reach them. They're very happy. They're very excited. We get to go somewhere, you know, because when I take mine, I have to load them up in the car. It's not like I'm in a subdivision. So we're going in the car, and that's pretty exciting stuff, you know. So I'd say probably the first 10 minutes of the walk, I let them be a dog. I'll let them pull me a little bit. I'll let them sniff. I'll let them get that initial excitement out of their system a little bit, and then I reel them in a little and get some good skills.
Plus women were tired. She always.
Yes.
After 10 minutes.
Yes.
Tired.
Yes.
It doesn't pull us.
Right. Right. Yeah. But no, sniffing, oh my gosh, it makes them really, really tired. I mean, one of my dogs, he actually drools sometimes when he's sniffing for a long time. Any questions?
A friend of mine's always worried about the chemicals in everybody's grass, so
I don't blame them.
she doesn't
That's
have
what she said, keep them out
to
of
sniff
there.
except for on mailboxes.
Yeah. See, I don't blame them. They have linked leukemia to that with dogs. And that's why I don't treat my grass. I got too much of it anyways, but it is dangerous. I agree with that. Yeah. Yep. You know, and they roll around in it and they sniff it and yeah. Yeah. And it's probably not good for us either, actually.
Yeah.